Okay, we're continuing our journey of the Yoga Sutras. You don't need to read along for this, so don't worry if you don't have your text. We're on Sutra 1.6. And actually today we're going to do two. We're going to do 1.6 and 1.7. So if you didn't read all the way ahead, don't worry. You can follow along without having to actually read the text. Last week when we talked about 1.5, there was a little bit of a cliffhanger. What Sutra 1.5 says is there are 5 kinds of mental modifications that are either painful or painless. And the cliffhanger is, what are those 5 things? So today we're going to talk about at least the first one, but let's go through what all 5 are. And Sutra 1.6 tells us. They are right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. I'm going to say those again. Right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. Okay, so these are the 5 kinds of fluctuations that happen in our mind. And part of what Swami Satchidananda teaches us is that our practice is about starting to, he uses the word analysis, to be able to discern our thoughts and what they are, to get a sense of who we are and what's real and what's not. So the first one is right knowledge, and Sutra 1.7 talks about right knowledge, and this is what the translation says. The sources of right knowledge are direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony. Direct perception, that's what we personally experience through our senses. We perceive things through our senses. Inference is what we deduce from what we experience, right? So something happens and we assume something else might happen. The example that he uses in the text is, if you see smoke, you might infer there's a fire. And then the last one is scriptural testimony. And that's the one I actually want to talk about today. So direct perception, we touch the stove, it's hot. The stove can be hot. But scriptural testimony, I think, is a little bit, I'll say challenging for some folks, because it requires faith. All right, so what is faith? Faith is we take somebody's word for it, or a text word for it, or something that's not our own experience. Somebody said this, and so we believe it. Which I know, when we first start understanding religion and spirituality, it's sort of like, well, how do we know this for sure? And most of us, I think, can spend our life in that search for, like, how do we actually know this for sure? And we might have experiences through life that give us direct experience or allow us to make some inference. And what Swami Satchidananda and Patanjali are saying is that scriptural testimony can be a valid way to understand the nature of reality. What I like about Swami Satchidananda specifically, but many, many teachers that I look towards for their wisdom and their experience, is that he has a larger view of what scriptural testimony might be than some people who think there's only one truth. And we talked about this in one of the early sessions studying his book. One of the things that he did during his lifetime is he set up a shrine at his U.S. location, and it's called the Lotus Shrine. Lotus stands for the light of truth of universal scripture, something like that. I might be getting the exact acronym wrong. But one of the things that happens when you go to this place is you walk into the temple, and all the way around the temple, there's stations for each of the major faith traditions in our world. And so I want to share today a visual that shows some of this. Okay, so this is called the Lotus Yantra. A yantra is actually, it's like a visual form of one of the things that can come to us in meditation. And what he's showing here is each of the major faith traditions all the way around as the petals in the lotus. Can you guys see that? Okay. So you'll recognize some of them right away. So here's obviously Christianity, and we've got Judaism. Here's Islam. I'm going to put in the chat for you a list of all the faiths. If you don't want to open your chat, if you're on a phone or something like that, and you don't want to do that, you don't have to. And if you're following us on YouTube, I'm going to read them. Clockwise from the top, which was a big circle, it's faiths still unknown. I know you guys can't see the yantra right now, but faiths still unknown, which I think is such a beautiful thing to include here. It allows us the freedom to understand that we don't know everything, and we haven't yet figured it all out. And then there's Hinduism, Judaism, Shinto, Taoism, Buddhism, other unknown faiths, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, traditional American faiths, and Native American faiths. I'll pop this back up one more time so you can see it. Okay. So what he's saying is, of all of the traditions and faiths that are known and unknown, they all come to the same elemental truth. And our practice of meditation is for us to peel back all of the layers, whether they're cultural or experiential, and start to get to this essence of what is real. And the method for getting there, he says, is actually to use our thoughts, to use analysis, to understand what we might not be able to understand analytically. And it's to peel away all the things that aren't real. So, we're going to meditate in a moment with some tools for looking at, is this, well, we'll look at the words. Is this right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, or memory? Okay, a lot of us, when we're meditating, there's memory, things from the past. And then verbal delusion might be things somebody has said that may or may not be true, or that we have said ourselves. In sleep, when we get to that sutra, he includes dreams and also daydreams. So future, right? If you're daydreaming about something that hasn't yet happened, that could be a delusion. Okay? So as you go through your practice today, I'm going to cue us as we go on these 5 different types of fluctuations of our mind. And the beginning work here is just to start to separate out, oh, that seems like right knowledge, that seems like misconception, etc. Any questions or comments before we begin this practice? Okay. I'm going to put the yantra back up so that if you do want to meditate with your eyes open, you can see it. If you prefer to meditate with your eyes closed or some combo, it's your practice. Okay, take your posture for, we've got 15 or 20 minutes today to work with the practice. So create your posture, your seat. Once you're situated, close your eyes. And then actually check in with your physical experience here. Notice your feet, your seat, and do something on purpose with your hands. So notice maybe what's happening right now. They might already be there, or create something. Sit so that your spine is upright and you're able to be alert. Begin with your breath. Notice your inhalation and your exhale just as they are. For this practice, let your breath be the anchor that you come back to after you've noticed that you've wandered off from your breath. And do this with a light touch this morning. So as you notice your mind is wandering, you'll pause and discern if it's a memory or a dream. Past or future. Notice your breath as it is right here and right now. Notice what is real about your breath. What's real might be the physical experience of the breath in your body. So the feeling of movement. Perhaps the feeling of the temperature of the breath. Notice if you're adding anything on to the actual physical experience of the breath. So a judgment, a sense of too much, too little. So notice any inference, any conclusions you're drawing. And then come back to direct perception. What is it in the breath? I'll call it the naked reality of what's right here. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. This is direct perception. Notice what's here when you're in direct perception. what's right here. Is there any misconception that you're breathing in and you're breathing out? Is there any verbal delusion around your breath in and your breath out? And when you bring your attention directly to your breath, is it in the past or is it in the future? Or is it right here, right now? Take a bigger breath. Do that one more time, just a nice full breath in and out. When you're ready, open your eyes. What is real? The breath, for sure. Any thoughts or insights? Dad, I saw your hand first. You're muted though.
What was going through my mind as I was breathing in and out was a question in terms of all of the various faiths that were shown earlier in the session. And I came to the realization, or I may believe, in fact, that what will be, will be. And why can't we be comfortable with understanding that what will be, will be?
Yeah, maybe there's some surrender in that. Right? It asks us to let go of predicting the future.
Well, I think most of us are challenged through life to select a belief, a faith, something specific. And most of us have trouble fully understanding, comprehending, accepting, buying into whatever faith we ultimately are selected to follow. And if we realize that what will be, we probably can live with that without great drama or fear of what will be. Maybe it's my own way of rationalizing what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Enough.
It's good stuff. Mary, did you have some insight?
Yeah, I went totally science nerd on this.
You are a scientist.
Yeah, it's kind of my past. So when the idea of direct perception and inference, that's sort of the beginning of scientific method, at least the way I taught it. Like if you see smoke and then you infer that there may be fire, the next step is to investigate that, which is look at, which is kind of your source, your reliable source. And so you could even go look and go, oh yeah, that is fire. There you've sort of solved the mystery. Or you can read about, well, okay, if there's smoke and there's this, here's what other people have said it could be. And so you've investigated all of that. But it's just very, I don't know, this really spoke to me. I really like this.
Good. Marcia.
So I was drawn to the center, and I wonder what meaning is in the center. It's
of the yantra.
It's the shape of the Jewish star, but it's not the Jewish star. There's a circle in there. So I want to investigate that. I mean, there's some meaning to the center, and I don't know.
Well, there's lots of resources about this shrine. For those of you that are doing this live, I'll send you an email with some links. And when I post it on YouTube, I'll put some links in there too. Okay. There's so much here. And Swami Satchidananda actually designed this himself. And I consider him to have some insight that, might be divine is a word I'll use. So I don't think what he's designed is accidental. It might be coming from a source that's worthy of investigating. Holly.
I was also focusing on that and wondering about the design of it. And I finally came to the conclusion that was a lotus opening slowly, and that center being truth or presence or God or wherever you are in terms of your belief system, kind of opening up through all of these different religions and faith beliefs. Just my idea.
I like it. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. I wish we had more time, but there's a class happening in here soon. And it's getting warmer.